Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to Clarence Miles in the Community Show here at the historical Langston Housing Authority Projects. I'm here at the Janice Wade McCree Community Center, a place where we does a lot of community service, community work here. The Clarence Miles in the Community is a program that we talk about different things and different issues, and we deal with different people from all over. You know, this is not one of these things that we have to really got to get it right. We just want to pass on information to the community. Today I have one of my guest speakers, Brother Roach Brown, a guy I have been working with through the years, guy I met through the years. And I just want to say to Roach Brown, I appreciate that you're coming. You know, showing Clarence Miles in the community some love, you know. And what we want to just talk about is just general things of, you know, why is it so important that we had a show? Why is it so important that we here to talk about our life? Why is it so important that we share with other people that's in the community how changes that came about from the time that we come up into the change that we are making in our community today. Mm-hmm. And what I like about Clarence Miles in the community is that we get a chance to share with people, regular people like ourselves, about how we came up in our community and how we're making a difference in our community today. Because we haven't always been the person that we are. We've been the person, but we haven't always been with this attitude and the type of the way that we are in our community today, blessing our community, and the community has been blessing us. So one of my first questions I always ask people, who are you? Who is Roach Brown?
Well, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., and in fact, my grandmother used to live at 721 21st Street.
Okay, now.
Back in the 50s, and they were middle class, and we were like, we came from the hood. My father had married our mother, and his family didn't appreciate him marrying somebody from the hood. Okay. So we used to come over to 721 21st Street. Okay. I was about 8 or 9 years old, Smooth.
Okay.
In that house, the house was laid off. They had a Lionel train set in the basement. We didn't even have a basement. We didn't even have a house. And I went over there, and it was every time I came over, I thought I was hit the number. Yeah. I ain't know people lived that good, that well. You know, everybody had their own bed. It was 5 of us in one bed, man. And I remember when I got locked up at 10 years old, they took me to the receiving home. Because I got 5 brothers. We all slept in the same bed. I go in the receiving home. They opened up the door and put me in this little room, and it's a bed, Facebook, and the cell. And the guy get ready to shut the door. I said, wait a minute. Ain't nobody else gonna sleep in here? He said, no. I said, you mean this room is all mine? Hurry up and shut the door. Yeah. You know, so the first time I slept in the bed by myself was in jail. Okay. So I grew up like this in the community, and I went to Lawton, had a life bit, started a group called the Inner Voices. We put on plays. They let us out of prison on furlough, and we came back to prison every night. We did 500 shows out the gates of prison. Okay. I had life, and the other 15 guys had 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And they trusted us. And we went out in the community, went to New York, did a show at the Apollo, went to Kansas City, L.A., and came back to the prison. And the irony of it is, we didn't have no guards. I was in charge. And we told these guys what we were doing was trying to reach the community. We came out and did drug plays because the drug crisis was off the chain like the crack thing.
How old were you then?
I was about 20, 22, 23 years old. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's about a year or two ago. Yeah. You know.
Okay, I got you. You know, because what I heard you say was, and you get me there. We haven't got there, but we got me there. But I'm very curious about when you say you grew up around Langston when you was 9 and 10 years old. And this area right here is a historical spot. Yeah. It was a lot of things been going on around here. It's a lot of history that's been going on around here. So what I would ask you, because we need a little history about this community here. You know, because you say your family lives through Fox, so I'm quite sure you was in this neighborhood. Yeah. So can you give us a little history about what type of community that this was back during the time?
Back in the day, right down in the middle of the block on Benning Road, it was an underground tunnel.
And this one right there, go down
and go on the other side.
It's right under the steps right there.
I didn't know that, but it's still here.
Right outside my building.
We used to go to that little tunnel, get on this side of Benning Road, and you couldn't cross because the traffic was so big. So you had to go through this underground tunnel, and there was guys down there would rob you. So you have somebody on the other side of the street, and when you get ready to go around the tunnel, you wave and let them know that I'm coming through, and let them jokers know down there I ain't got no money. You know what I mean? So it was with all the community from D.C., black community came over because on that field was a carnival every summer, man.
Is that the field you're talking about? That's where the stadium is right now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And that was the first time I got knocked out, Clarence. We went in, and first...
it wasn't by no window, was it?
No, I went up and put my little 10 cent or 25 cent, whatever, and they said, we don't let the lights in here.
Okay.
So I said, what you say? I'm about 10 or 11, and I've never been confronted with racism that strong and that direct.
Okay.
So I said, what you mean I can't come in there? Everybody else is in there. They said, nigga, we said to get out of here. Then he called some guy, and these two big white guys came from the back of the ticket booth, and we had to run. And I'm saying, nigga, I got to fight for my life. All I wanted to ride was a merry-go-round and the roller coaster, man. So that was a situation. I was like in 56 or 55.
Right, I wasn't even born.
Me neither, man, but I just was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wasn't even born.
But it was a kind of place that everybody from all parts of the city, the black community, would come over here 2-3 times a summer for the carnival. You know what I mean? Then you had the theater down there on Benning Road, Carver. We intermingled. We got along with each other. People from uptown to blacktown, because it wasn't many places that we as black people could go.
So then you mean to tell me that people from all over the city, not up to the time to come together,
all the black
unite, hang out, go to movies, go up and down, and everything was real peaceful.
That's why when I went to jail, everybody that I met in jail, I'd seen that in the street.
Okay.
So our community, the black community, we were isolated and segregated. We were segregated. This was like in 55, and the Supreme Court just ruled outlaw segregation. But because they ruled it, it didn't stop right then and there.
Right.
It ain't never stopped.
Right. It's still going on, really. Let's say this. Right now as we talk, 222, right? It's still going on.
It's worse now.
You know what? I grew up in segregation, but I'm always believing what you just said. It's worse than that than it was.
You know what, Smooth, back there then, Martin Luther King gave a speech 50 years ago, and he was talking about the police brutality and the poor quality of schools. That was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And we got the same, and he's also talking about it's more segregated black schools now than it was before Brown versus the Board of Education. There was a certain number of black schools, but now it's more black schools segregated that they thought that Brown Board versus the Board of Education would integrate this. They did it for a while. Then they started busing kids. Then they came up with the private schools. Then they came up with the charter schools. And now, no matter what they came up with, we as black people still are go to segregated majority black schools. And we got more segregated black schools now than we did 50 years ago.
Well, let me ask you something. Because you're here know where I'm at. Do you think the change is going to come tomorrow? You know what I mean by tomorrow, right?
No, I don't. Smooth, I'm 78, man.
Okay.
And I've been fighting this fight for 51 years, man. And every time we think we made some progress, they push us back. Or we go back. And they keep talking about recidivism. Guys come to prison, they come out and they go back to jail. Why in the hell? They have to go back. If you're broke, hungry, starving, unemployed, living on the street, you got 2 choices. Eat or starve. And we did a film for the Smithsonian Museum, and they went to my old neighborhood on Temperance Court. And they showed these pictures. And I'm 8 years old, Smooth. And we had to steal to eat. To me, that wasn't breaking the law. I wasn't being a thug. I'm hungry, man. My dad in jail. My mama got 8 kids. She applied for welfare in 1946. She get an answer in 1952. Told her to find a job. And when you find a job, your take-home pay won't take you home. It's so much, and everybody get a job. The only time I heard the word job in my neighborhood, the next question was, who's coming home? And when you get a job, it ain't nothing you can't pay your bills with. How you get a job working as a janitor, and they got a thing called bring your kid to work day. You can bring your kid to the bathroom. They got black men downtown right now, Smooth, at these big luxury hotels. You go in the men's room, and there's a guy there with a bow tie, white shirt, and he's dusting you off. You get finished doing your business, he spray some cologne on you. And that hurt to see these brothers in the toilet smelling all this stuff coming from these toilets. And he's there all day long, wiping these white guys' shoes off, the coats off, taking the lint off, and they getting 50 cents or a buck. I couldn't go for that, man. And that hurt. And that's it. And we talking right now. This is May 13th, 2020, and you can find the same treatment still going on. Go to the Trump Plaza Hotel that Trump just sold. You go in the bathroom in the Mayflower Hotel, all these big hotels, and you see these brothers in there. When I go in, I give them $10, $20. And I want to say what I'm feeling, but I can't. So I just say, hey, man, I understand. Either do that or go to jail or be in the street, homeless, man.
So you saying that even though time is now and time was never is like it is now, that brothers are still at these different hotels, multi-million-dollar hotels, still shining shoes, and still sometimes receive 50 cents to $1, $2 from a person from another color.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say? No, I know you're not trying to say. That's what you're saying, that is still going on right now today. And this is why it's so important that I'm here and I invite you here, because people need to know yesterday having a lot changed.
No.
I personally, my own young experience, that I grew up with the Black Panthers up on 14th Columbia Park Road. And a lot of people don't really know that. When you get around young people my age, they don't even know nothing about that. Or, even older people didn't know. But I grew up with, my uncle was in the Black Panthers. So I understand about the transition of life when it comes down to people from another color who discriminate against us every time we try to move forward. As we see throughout, through the presidential election, as we see how they give out money, how we see that our community is constantly needing help. Even here in the housing authority, this community need a lot of help, but there's not a lot of money is funded through this community. They give just enough to say that we are doing things. But we as a person like ourselves, we have to sit here and share this information. That how do we uplift our community? Because we have to move forward. How do we uplift our community because of the knowledge that you have, the knowledge that I have, and the platform that we have? How do we uplift our community, or do our community truly, as our young men in our household, really want to be uplifted to go to that next level?
How do we uplift our community? You are doing it. When you have shows like this that's educating, informing people, letting them know what's going on, what used to go on, and how you make the comparison between the two, knowledge is power. Information is power. And when you uneducated, it's expensive. To be uneducated or be stupid or dumb, that's expensive. Because what you don't know, you pay twice as much for to learn. So knowledge is power. And doing these kind of things, and everybody got a lane. We hooked up with Tyrone Parker with the Alliance of Concerned Men.
I worked 12 years for them.
So everybody is doing what they feel comfortable doing. You're doing your piece. We got to stay in our lane and get all our lanes come to the crossroad. Our radio show is called Crossroads. And one of the reasons we call that everybody gets at a crossroad at different times in their life. And there's so many people. Right now I'm reaching out to some people, Smooth, that I've been arguing with, and not arguing with. We didn't get along for 30, 40 years.
Right.
But it dawned on me, this is the bottom, this is the last dance for me.
Right.
So we need to tighten up, man. I got resources to help some people, you got some. Whatever our fallout was, our beef was, man, the hell with it. The Grim Reaper's getting ready to come. Gabriel getting ready to blow us on. And I ain't got time for no arguments with nobody, no disagreement. Whatever it was, I'll take the blame. I'm responsible. I don't know what it's about. Give it to me. Let's see what we can do to move on.
So what you took me to, a point where I'm also work up in the Legion Park area. I worked up there for 12 years, as of today, 12 years. But I'm just building a relationship with the Legion Park Civic Association. I'm dealing with the Friends of the Park. I'm dealing with the ANC Commission. I'm working with the One's office. I'm working with CFC Collaborative Solutions, just as well as the City Council's office. But it took us 10 years 10 years to come together because it was a divide from across the street from the park, which used to be what's it, Gays Elementary School, which now is a park. But on one side it's the white people, the next side is the brothers, and they never wanted to engage. They always would talk about the complex, but never be able to bring service to that community for the last 10 years. Thank God that I'm living long enough. I've been around the program long. Today, I can say we have a 10-month relationship that we're working together to make a difference in that community, in which we're trying to do the same thing here at Langston Dwellings. That means is that these people that normally wouldn't come together, these people who normally wouldn't reach out, these people would normally want to be, together, whether it's for job or whether it's for just community engagement. Today they come together, and I'm saying this is because we still haven't got the total buy-in from this community where I work in. You know what I mean?
It takes a while. You know what, man, Smooth, we've been doing this for 51 years. Tyrone Parker and I met in Lawton in 1968. And since 68, 53 years, we've been doing this community work. And I was talking to Brother Manning there earlier about how deep and thick the racism is in America. And a lot of folks don't know they're racist. And we got a little example that says if you have a cup of coffee and you put cream in the coffee, can you uncream the coffee? How can you take racism, how can you take cream out the coffee and restore cream to its original form? You know what I mean? You can't. That's how deep and pervasive this thing is, man. And all we can say to keep it going is, you do what you do, you stay in your lane, we stay in our lane, and we got to come to the crossroads, man, and unite. They just released a guy 3 days ago who shot Laquan McDonald in Chicago 5 years ago. They gave this cracker 10 years. He did 4. They locked up his sister down in the South for registering to vote and gave us 6 years. And they can kill somebody and don't go to jail. And if they do go, it's 18 months, 2 months, and they say, what's wrong? When you see this kind of jiggy boogie, it stinks. It ain't right. It don't smell right. And every week, Clarence, every week, they release somebody from some prison who been in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Because the prosecutor withheld evidence. It was official misconduct. The police lied. And we go to jail for all this time. Mother's Day was Sunday. What hurt me most is the fastest growing prison population are black women. They got mothers, grandmothers, and granddaughters in the same prison. And all 3 are doing life for selling crack, drugs, man. And you got people killing folk and don't get this kind of time. So racism, the discrimination, Jim Crow, segregation, this stuff is more heavy. And I grew up when it was racist. I grew up in segregated Washington. And it was just as worse, it's just as bad now than it is back then, man. You still can't get a job. And if you get a job, they said it reduced the violence. We say jobs reduce violence. Next month, we got a high recidivism rate. You stay in the street 6 months, 8 months. You got guys come out of prison. If you got anybody in your house with a criminal record, you met him. My little man Pants that came out of you, who you just met, he did 48 years, 50 years, man. You took him under your wing. Every time I saw you, you got Pants with you. We brought him to our house, gave him some clothes and some money, and he did 50 years. He came out with no money, no medication. He had stage 4 cancer. He couldn't go and stay with certain people in his family because they had criminal records. And the law is, or the policy, even if you have a public housing at
yes, sir.
Langston Dwellings.
Public housing. If you have any charges, you cannot come and stay in nobody's property here on this property.
And if anybody in the house,
leaseholder.
if anybody in the house got a record, you cannot stay in that house with that person.
Yeah.
So these guys got to go to the shelter. And you go to the shelter, these guys done 40, 50 years. I picked up one guy, he did 48. And the first thing he said to me, he said, Roach, I didn't do this. I said, man, I ain't seen you since 1971. I don't give a damn if you did it or you didn't do it. You done it. You done 48 years in prison, and you tell me, man, I don't care him. I said, put the seatbelt on. He said, what's a seatbelt? He left the street before 6, so I showed him how to put the seatbelt on. When I look back over, he got the belt all around his neck. I said, man, you gonna kill yourself. It don't go like that.
Well, when you did talk about pants, but I was just on the line the other day, last Saturday, and I be with this group, and a lot of them Caucasian. The majority of them, 90% of them is Caucasian. So I'm on the line, I'm calmed down. So the lady, supposed to be cool with me, she's cool, you know how they do. They pretend like they really, you good. But anyway, it was like, I was the only brother on the line, you know what I'm saying? And, the lady came on the line and she spoke to everybody, but she never spoke to me. You follow what I'm saying? I still held on, because I understand what I'm working with.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It lead us here. In the midst of the storm, and I'm just thankful that I grew up in this time, that I understand the storm. You follow what I'm saying? I don't have to be part of the storm no more. Only thing I'm not doing is picking the cotton on the field, because it was during that time, I don't think I could make it. You follow what I'm saying? Because I'm not a worker now. You know what I mean? But what I do is I'm trying to not to understand who they are. I just got to understand who I'm working with. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it is an advantage for me to do what I do to get where I'm going. So what I'm saying is that when you talk about racing, when you're talking about incarceration, when you talk about life itself as you come up and as I come up, we talk about our youth, our young men who today, who have the privilege of, you can smoke marijuana. You're talking about the privilege of young men who can get education or have education, but not employable or teachable or workable. But what I really confused about is how our young people within our household, as men like myself, allow our young kids or young brothers inside the house that we're around and not educating them or allowing or to show them how to be a classy dresser. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot. Yes, man, no man to mother, grandmother.
Respect.
Respect for putting your pants up in front of your grandmother, your mother. You know what I mean? How me as an uncle, how me as a leader in the household allowed this to continue on to be unrattled inside my household. Can you help me with that?
I'm glad you said that, Smooth. One of the things, man, that crack cocaine did, it destroyed our community. But you take it a step level, there's different layers to this. When I grew up, there were guys on the corner, number backers, pickpockets, and they always running around stealing stuff, but they would always tell you, don't do that. Don't disrespect old ladies. Keep your mind, all the little things that you don't curse at your mother, your grandmother. You respect everybody's mother. You don't steal from your friends or your buddies. And you watch how you talk to people. When crack came, all that was gone. All the guys was on the corner who supplemented or helped back up the teachings you got from your family. They are gone. They're doing 40, 50, 60, 70 years. So you got a generation, 2 generations have been taken out. When I come through, if a guy did 10 years, he had to have been a mean, bad, rotten rascal. Yeah. Now they start you off at 10. So guys are going 18 months, 2, 3 years, and they come back out and they end their son's life. Now, we had a guy that got released 3 months ago, did 50 years. He came out, he just got in the house, and he put his hat down on the couch. He went upstairs and come back down, and his son's sitting in his seat with the couch. So he said, man, that's my spot. So his son said, that's jail stuff. That don't go here. He said, man, but you're in my spot. And in jail, you stake your territory. You put up a towel or bed, something where you... So he said, him and his son got into an argument. His son said, you can't tell me what to do. You've been gone 50 years. He said, I've been in prison 50 years. If I could have been there, I would have been there. So they got to fighting, and the son didn't know his father had killed 3, 4 people. He wasn't nothing to mess with, man. And this guy did most of his time in solitary and in the cell by himself. And when he gets twisted, he's one of them guys that ain't no juggy book. He gonna kill you. So he said, man, I'm gonna take I said, man, please leave your son alone, man. I'll come get you. He said, man, he don't know. You don't talk to me like that. That goes back to there's certain ways you talk to people. Even though your father been gone, he's still your daddy. Even though your mama's not there, she's still your mama, and they're entitled to certain respects. And when they didn't get it, the guys in the neighborhood said, that's Smooth's son. Said, come here, little Smooth. do this. Don't you talk to that lady like that. So you got help on how to learn how to deal and relate to people. All that's been gone.
It's gone.
Crack destroyed all that. So these kids come out now. I was in jail the last time. I heard a guy get on the phone and said, "You MF and get me these." He was cussing this chick out nicely. I said, "Man, who he talking to?" That was his mother.
Yeah.
Smooth. I ain't never cussed at my mother. Cuss in front of her or around her. None of my aunts. These guys take it to my son, the one me and my wife got. We got into an argument about 6, 7 years ago, and he started cursing. I said, "Don't you curse. I don't care what the beef is. You don't curse in no conversation with your mother and father." These kids don't get none of that. They don't get this respect, discipline, attitude, and how to grow up. So it's like two, three generations. I'm 78, and that crack cocaine hit in the late 70s, early 80s. Besides destroying families, it destroyed almost the whole essence of our community, man. And I haven't seen no report, nobody talk about all the men who got these mandatory sentences of 30, 40, 50 years that's been going. And normally, before they change the law, you'd be gone 18 months or maybe 2 years. So your son got a chance to meet you, even though it's for 6 months while you was in the street. But now you take the father for 20 years or 30 years. There's no relationship between the father, the mother, or the kids or nothing. So to me, they're like weeds. They're raising themselves like weeds, and any direction they go into, they don't know if when they're wrong or when they're being disrespectful, when they're out of order. 'Cause that's how everybody talk to everybody. Man.
And so, and the reason why I bring that up, because I know that I'm an older person, you're an older person. I know
older
that,
than me.
you know, yeah. And I know that the youth that I work with, you know, a young man came to me the other day and said, "Well, Mr. Miles, I signed up for the summer job. Could you help me, to work with you?" I said, "Well, okay, well," he said, "Well, I didn't do everything I supposed to done."
Yeah.
I called the guy, he said, "Well, the young man never registered." So I called the young man, I said, "Well, you never registered, but you can go holler at so-and-so, so-and-so. Well, I gotta go find this." But he's talking about, "Well, man, I thought I registered." In other words, our young people today, and they're not all of them, don't get me wrong, but our young people that I be working with, they have no clue at 19 or 20 years old about just simply going online, filling out the application to do the follow-up for the summer job. I've still got kids that's calling me right now saying, "I didn't get my orientation taken care of." I said, "Well, can't you call down there?"
They don't know.
They 19, they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
So I'm finding myself walking them. What Tyrone Parker called walking by counseling. You know what I mean? That means I have to walk with them all the way to the door and back. And people say, "Well, Clarence, why you do that?" Because I want to give this person an opportunity, but giving them an opportunity, but it also helps me. Because I have to understand is that I have to learn how to discipline myself. And I have to learn how to humble myself. And I say that is because I was dealing with this guy the other day, financially, and it took him a month and a half just to deliver. Normally, we don't get nobody but a week. But I had to hone myself because I had to see what I was made of. Because I want to do my TV show. I don't want to have a thing where, Clarence, he worked with kids that he got assault on somebody. You follow what I'm saying? But then I had to understand that people are not the way that we are. Young people are not cut out the way that we are. They're not motivated. They're not even understanding. And they give you a lot of excuses. What I found out doing this type of work today is that I can accept an excuse, but I have to learn to move past the excuse. And I have to still deal with the individuals, because with me having this platform, I always say I'm not the best person in the world, but I'm not the way I used to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you contributed, man.
Right. See, I knew that for me that it took a long time for me to come off street. I was 36 years old when I went back home to my mother's house, saying, "Mama, let me in," after she had put me out and I was 16 years old. And my mother put her feet down. And 2.5 years later, I was in my own house. I never had an apartment. I never had a room. I always laid up with the women and all that. But when I went back home to my mother's house at 36 years old, I became a man. But when my father died and I put the casket down, then I started understanding what manhood was, because I could no longer go over here and go over there. So basically what I'm saying is this: how can we help our young people to grow up? And even though they are missing a lot of that, how do we get that one or two people to grow up? Because I've seen a lot of programs with myself that we do have kids who do cross that line. But a lot of times, folks in their household don't know how to get their nephews or their grandsons or their sons, how they can walk with them to cross that line to develop the respect that we talk about.
You know, when we worked together, moved up there at the Lions years ago, in Tyrone Park with the Lions of Concerned Men, and they was talking about, again, you got to walk by counsel, but also we got to counsel the family members. Yes, because if you work on solving this kid's problem or trying to help them, they got just as many problems with the mother, the father, who's left in the house with sisters and brothers. So it becomes a whole family issue. So all the elders, the old guys, my age and up, we got to get together, and the ladies, senior ladies, and try to reach out to them kids one at a time.
So you're talking about wraparound services.
Wraparound services. You need wraparound service, but what you were doing and what them other guys doing, the credible messages, the violence interrupters, what these guys are doing is making connection with one person, and it starts with the longest journey begins with one step. When I was in Lawton, and I got hurt, I was in solitary for a while, I was paralyzed. They took me out and sent me to St. E's. And when I came back from St. E's, I wanted to start a play. And everybody laughed at me, called me a damn fool, said Roach is crazy. And there's 1,000 guys in Lawton, and would nobody talk to me smooth, because they said Roach is in left field. He just come out the crazy house. But that was a blessing, because when they called me crazy, I put my clothes on backwards, put tape all around my head, and I could walk all over the prison, and nobody would bother me. I said, shit, I should have been crazy. I could go in the warden's office, I can go in the officer's dining room. You couldn't go in the officer's dining room to eat. But I could go, because I got tape all around my head. They said, that's that damn crazy Roach. I said, give me 2 steak sandwiches. And I give me 2 steak sandwiches. So I'm eating. I'm doing everything they tell you can't do, because they said I was crazy. And I learned how to take that crazy and flip the script.
Yeah.
So you got to use what you got to get what you want. And even though somebody may don't like it, don't appreciate it, the best thing that ever happened to me was getting a life sentence. And the second best thing is when they beat me and put me in solitary. I was paralyzed for 8 months. Those 2 things forced me to dig inside, pull out all the stuff I didn't like. I was no good. I was rotten. I didn't like this person. Hey, it's like a cleansing process. Sometimes when you get hurt, that hurt is for a reason, and that's a cleansing process. If you can take that hurt and turn it, because the sun always shine.
That's right.
I don't care how dark it is.
And see, when you said that, you really took me back when I was hanging out on 8th Street back in the 70s, in the 80s, and I was strung out, I was on the smoking, and all that other stuff, and they used to say, man, he crazy, man. But I was the man. He crazy. He's crazy. So a friend of mine said, don't sleep on him, right? This is the evidence today. What I'm saying is those who was out there, a lot of them either dead, gone, or doing life. And what I'm saying is that it wasn't so much that I was crazy. It wasn't so much that I really knew what I was doing. I understand about the Holy Spirit had all control over me during that time when I didn't want no control with the Holy Spirit. Because I fought with the devil a long time. I was, anytime the devil called me, I was right there. You know what I mean? And I wasn't trying to transition. I remember when I started working with the Lions of Concerned Men, and we first came across the captain, chief of police. Now I have to make a decision, because I don't deal with no police. But I'm working with the Lions of Concerned Men. But I don't work with no police. But I'm working with the Lions of Concerned Men. I'm getting paid to do a job. I know what public safety is now. It ain't about, I know what public safety is all about now. Because at the end of the day, sometimes we need these people to help some of our young folks out. And what I seen with public safety work is when we was able to walk up to the police, the powers of police, and say, so-and-so is in our program. And they was able to release them in our custody. Never seen nothing like that before.
I went through
You
the
know.
same thing, man.
Yeah.
I didn't socialize with the police.
Yeah.
But it's an example. If you're drowning and you're in the water and you can't get out, and you know if somebody don't come help you, you dead. And here come a cop that throw you a life raft, pull you out. And when I got my commutation, President Ford released me on Christmas Day. So they called the president and said, let me out on Christmas Day.
Who let you out?
President Gerald Ford.
Come on, man.
And on top of that, a couple of guys inside the Lord got mad with me. They wanted to hurt me, man. The president released me on Christmas Day, and they said, man, you shouldn't take it. I'm drowning.
Right.
I've been drowning for 10 years. I don't know how I made it this far. I can't stand another teaspoon of water.
What they tell you?
They said, you shouldn't accept it.
You want out bad, huh?
Man, they done saving my life. I had life, man. The man saving my life, and tell me, don't take it.
Yeah.
You don't take it.
Yeah.
You don't tell me what to do. My life is at stake. And if somebody saved my life, I deal with judges, prosecutors, and police.
Who you deal with now?
Yeah. Back in the day, if I did that, they called me hot.
Yeah.
You hot. You snitching. You telling. But we
Right.
look at it from a point of view. It ain't about what you are. I got to be best friends with the warden.
Right.
The warden at Lawton. He and I got to be friends. When I met him, I'm in doing life, and this is the warden. And if we'd have met in the street, we'd have been best of friends. He would invite me to the warden's office. I get eat, and the guys peeping in the window say, you telling on everybody. Man, some people you meet, you hook up. And it doesn't matter what your uniform is or what your color. We hooked up as men to men and soul to soul. And me and this guy got to be best of friends, and everybody can start saying, I'm telling on people. But ain't nobody got locked up.
Right.
I ain't in nobody's courtroom. I ain't
Right.
nobody's indictment.
Right.
But you can't talk to the police. They think the only way you can talk to the police is tell on somebody.
Yeah.
There's other ways.
Yeah.
They got family. They got friends.
Right.
And when you see that,
Right.
that they could be in the same spot you in.
Yeah.
So I don't judge people like that no more.
Right.
I judge them on their heart. Man.
This is why I like about Clarence Miles and the community. Because when we get up here, we communicate, we talk about how we came to a turning point. You know what I mean? How we turned our
Yeah,
life
that
around.
crossroads.
It ain't so much of what we did back in the 70s,
Yeah.
80s, and the 50s. It's how we turn our life around in 222 or in the future. How we navigated through the system when we didn't see no way out. Because there wasn't no way out for me.
Yeah, there never was a way out.
Really, if I had told anybody that I would be up here doing what I'm doing now, I would have sold my life short. You know what I mean? So we came to a turning point, and we continue on coming to a point. But I'm always amazed at how we got this thing. I like to talk about what happened January the 6th and how right now we're dealing with people. If we had done the same thing,
We'd have been dead.
and I'm just saying, will we be a survivor? Will we get a chance to walk in? Will we get a chance to say, no, we're not coming to court? Will we get a chance to be rebellion? What was our chance? Even though we know, I'm talking about what they're doing now. But it's not acceptable for a black man to do the same thing. As we are living, as we see, what do you believe the outcome going to be when Judgment Day comes?
I don't know, Smooth. I just know that my wife asked me, it's so frustrating, man. We've been doing this for so long, and you think you make some progress, and you look back, and we way back. King spoke 50 years ago about police brutality and unemployment. 50 years ago, and he said this was the greatest speech that was ever given by any American citizen. Then they had to pass a holiday and name streets after him. But every city you go to, Martin Luther King Avenue is in the black community. But yet this man is gave the greatest speech of all time, and everybody talk about him, yet they try to kill him. They try to do everything to him. And I don't like it when him, Harriet Tubman, all these people do outstanding stuff back in the day. Then when they die, they want to recognize them. We're going to honor them. We're going to appreciate them. You didn't appreciate them while they was here, and they was telling you what needed to be done. And you say Judgment Day or at the end, I just hope and pray in my heart that whatever we do it as long as we can do it, we help somebody and pay it forward. And whatever happens, I hope it happens for the best. But I am afraid that what the path we're on right now, the world is almost at the end, man. With that man in Russia, if he push one of them buttons on the nuclear thing, the world's over, man. We're all over. You know what I mean? And, oh yeah, we on our radio show, Smith, we had a guy call us from Ukraine, a brother, and we found out how they been treating these two brothers from Nigeria. Went over to Ukraine to go to school, and when they started dropping the bombs, they walked. They say about 10 miles in the darkness. There was no gas stations, no light on the highway, no 7-Eleven, no McDonald's or nothing. They walked 10 miles and got to the train station. And everybody is trying to get on this train to get out of Ukraine, and you had to pay. They charged everybody $25, but for the brothers, they had to pay $150 to get on the train. When you got on the train, they was pulling them off, saying that the white people got to get on there first. So they called us from the Ukraine and saying about the racism, and you're looking at, they're fighting racism, pulling them off the train. It's 5 below zero, Putin dropping bombs on you. Then you got the COVID-19, the pandemic. You got 4 or 5 fights just trying to get to the damn train. And when you get to the train, they pulling us off. Then we found out 2 weeks later that they got over 30,000 brothers locked up in prisons in the Ukraine. Men, women, and kids. Over 6,000 black kids are locked up in jails in the Ukraine. And on top of that, they just dropped 5 bombs and destroyed 5 prisons. We've been calling to Ukraine. The government ain't working. The phones to the prison ain't working. We can't reach nobody. We don't know how many brothers, sisters, and kids have been killed in this. Russia is bombing Ukraine, and they bombed 5 prisons, and we can't find out what happened to them, how many died, what kind of support or relief they're giving. Nothing. So it's a never-ending fight, man. You just got to keep doing what you're doing, hold your feelings down, because sometimes I cry, I can't put up with it, I done had enough. It makes my hair fall out. I had more hair when I started this kind of stuff, man. It just pulls my hair out.
Yeah. I sit here and I'm enjoying talking to you. I'm enjoying what I'm hearing. Somebody might walk past when they see this show, just might hear some of the words that you're saying. But they spend so much money for others, but they don't spend that on us.
Mm-hmm.
You hear each week they sending so much over to Ukraine, they sending money over here, but they don't send nothing to us. In our community, we suffer so much and we get so less, but we work more harder just to maintain, where you constantly passing dollars and cents and ammunition across other countries, but we'll seem like we're going to be like a third world country here.
They should do the same with us. If they're giving them $5 billion to Ukraine and buying all these weapons, and with all the police brutality, since 2010, over 900 men and women and kids have been killed by the police. 900! Now we're fighting for our lives here in America. Now they ought to give us some money. We're refugees in our own country.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're fleeing for their life, and we got to come out our door, and we fleeing for our life, just trying to get to work. Trying to get home, you got to worry about man, when I drive down the street and I see a police car, I get to shaking. Right. I pull a car over. They stopped me once, Smooth, a few years back, and it scared me to death.
Yeah.
When I didn't know that they had computers in the car, so they give me a driver's license, they punch up your name. My record come back, I'm sitting there and they got a car in front of me and one behind me. All of a sudden, 3 or 4 more police cars come up. And they put out with their pistols. I said, well, somebody else, they busting, they locking somebody else up. They said, get on the ground. I said, I ain't done nothing. When they found out I was in prison for murder, and they said, how did you get out? It says you had life. Mm-hmm. I said, the president let me out. They said, but it don't say that on here. Mm-hmm. Get on the ground. Call the sarge, call the supervisor. I said, man, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. They standing there just shaking. I'm a convicted murderer, and I'm in the street, and they don't know how I got out. Mm-hmm. I said, call the White House. They wasn't going to call them White House.
Right.
No little police could call them. So they got it straightened out. They called the lieutenant. They got squared up and said, we know who this guy is. He's been out a while. But, man, the problem was, I could have got killed, man. Mm-hmm. They killing black people now for nothing. I'm a convicted murderer. Mm-hmm. Got a hell of a record, man, and been all over the country doing all kinds of stuff. But that don't mean nothing. I'm black. I'm caught at the wrong time. They got a pistol, and they got the power to kill you. And when you found out you got a convicted murderer, they said, well, I didn't know. He went to jail for murder. I thought he was getting ready to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Man, it is scary.
So tell me something. Yeah, when I was coming up, they're talking about Lawton and coming up, I'm watching TV programs. I'm looking at to Nighthawk and all that. But and you had a good relationship with Petey Green.
Yeah, me and Petey.
Petey Green, my cousin used to work with WOL.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned a little bit about. But anyway, Petey Green, what kind of relationship y'all had, and what type of guy was it? Because I know him, but maybe some people haven't or some people have. Y'all relationship. That's what I'm talking about.
We grew up together. He's a few years older than me. We grew up on 18th Street and in Georgetown. And Peter was a drunk, a dope fiend, alcoholic. He stunk. He didn't take no baths. When he come around, everybody don't want him around. But when he come around, you give him a fifth of wine, and he would start talking trash and rhyming. He was like one of them hip hoppers or rhymers back in the day.
Right.
But I would say this. He was the most honest person I've ever met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have met presidents, I'd have met generals, met every kind of folk. If he didn't bite his tongue, man, and I started what I was doing. You saw me at this thing the other night with Tyrone's thing.
Mm-hmm.
I used to MC the shows in Lawton, write little corny jokes, and be with Petey Green, and that led me to start writing plays and being with the. So Petey came out. He got on the radio, then he got on TV, and I came out and I got on the television show. We were two ex-convicts with our own TV and radio show. This is back in the 70s, man. Petey was the first guy who was nominated for an Emmy in D.C. The show he did about a Cadillac. He loved the Cadillac. And he had a guest scheduled to come on a radio on a TV show, and the guest didn't show up. So Peter said, bring my car in. So they drove his Cadillac into the studio.
Right.
He got a bucket and a mop, and he started washing his Cadillac and talking trash, cracking jokes.
Right.
And that show won an Emmy.
Yeah.
So again, the person didn't show up. Sometimes when things don't go the way you plan them, Jack, is always a surprise or the sun or something. Don't get mad because it don't go the way you want it to go. It's a reason.
Right.
And there's a lesson in that season.
Yeah.
And you can take that lesson. So Petey did radio and he done something, man, that blew me away. He was a master psychologist. Tell you, he got a third grade education. He come out of school. Petey read the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post every morning. And they had a party for Vince Lombardi. He was the coach of the Washington Redskins. And Vince
real Redskins.
The real Redskins.
Yeah, okay.
And they had a big party for Vince Lombardi. And Petey was the keynote speaker.
Yeah.
He walked up to the touchdown club, got up at the microphone, and said, Vince Lombardi is a mean cracker. And everybody said, oh, don't say that, Petey. Petey is a mean cracker. He said, but one thing about him, he was a winning cracker.
Yeah.
And I could believe what Vince said. He said, come on up here, Vince. You my man.
Yeah.
Petey must have had a degree in psychology. He would disarm you, make you feel bad, put you on the spot, then they'd clean it up and say something nice about you and bring you back in. And when somebody put you on the spot like that and they warm you in.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So he used psychology to get folk into him, but he didn't bite his tongue with nobody.
Right.
And we went to South Carolina to give a speech. We pull up in this little Piggly Wiggly, one of them little like a
talking about Petey Green.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. owned Petey Green.
So we pull up from this Piggly Wiggly down in the South, something like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And these two drove up in the truck and they had them rifles in the back of the hanging up. I said, damn, Petey, we too far down here, boy. Look what's they got in the truck. So they get out the car and they said, are you Peter Green? Peter said, yeah, I'm Peter Green. They said, boy, you's a fair boy. I love you, Peter. And these white boys hugged him.
Yeah.
But we still was scared because they had the guns. Had their guns in
222, we still scared. Yeah, so I understand. Yeah. But so with that, you got Petey Green. I know you have a good relationship with Marion Bird. Another DC owned Marion Bird. How was that relationship with y'all? I know that y'all had through the years that I came across that you and him was real cool, real tight.
We was cool. In fact, when he came out of prison, he's the only man that got reelected after going to jail. And we met up at Faces on George Avenue and plotted out how we could mobilize ex-convicts and returning citizens. So we got together and mobilized Tyrone Parker, Al Malik Farrakhan, Yango Sawyer, Sidney Davis, and Hanif Watson. And what's
going to say he was in it too? Pines say he was up in there.
Who?
Pines. Levant on the inside. He
Yeah,
working
but
on
from the inside, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We had guys working with us inside of prisons to get everybody registered to vote. We went over there at Central City, and we had a meeting at the church, and these 20 or 30 youngsters came in. They said, wait a minute, everybody put their guns down. They started pulling out pieces. I didn't even have a fingernail clip. I said, I ain't never been in the room and I ain't had no piece, and everybody in there got a piece. He go in some spots, man, that is dangerous. And he go in because he believe in what he's doing, and it's in his heart. And somehow the youngsters interpret that, or they sense it and feel it. And he's one of the few guys I know that the gun smoke is still in the air. And Ty get the call and he's in the neighborhood. You can't train that in nobody. You can't give it to somebody. He did that because he saw a need and he saw something he could do. And he did what he had to do. And he didn't worry about what somebody else is doing with it. Get your lane. Find out what you can do. Stick to it. And if you like it and it's passionate and you paying it forward, you are saving lives. And this man has been saved a lot of lives in this city, man. And I love him. And in closing, I'll say this. My mother and father both died. And I never told them I loved them. Mm-hmm. We didn't say love back then. When you say love, it's just because you're trying to get next to one of these young ladies. That's the only time you use love. And my mother died, and I never told her I loved her. Mm-hmm. Tyrone Parker, I tell her I love him.
Right.
There's men now say I love you because it's a different mentality, a different attitude, and a different perspective on it right now. Mm-hmm. So we turned in a rack of registration cards. And we helped Marion get elected. He made me a special assistant. And we was the first office in the mayor's office in the country. They had created an office just for returning citizens. It's called Morca now.
Right.
I was the first director of Morca, and it took me 7 years of worrying them to get it. And they gave me an office for returning citizens. But I ain't have no budget, no secretary, and didn't even have a phone.
Right.
But it didn't make no difference. I had the office, I stayed there, and guys would come in and I write little notes until they got me a phone. Right. The thing was, I ain't need all the trappings. I had a car. I had no tires, I had no transmission, but I had a car. Yeah. It might not go nowhere, but I had a car. But we got the program there. As a result of that, Smooth, 5 other states around the country in the mayor's office have decided to have an executive office in the mayor's office that deal specifically for inmates and ex-inmates, man. And that was my job to do that. And I caught hell again from some of them same guys. I'm hot, I'm telling on people, I'm working with the police, Marion having meeting with the FBI, the Secret Service, and CIA, and I go in the meeting. And the minute I say I come in the meeting, they get up and leave, Smooth. They say, we don't want to have no meetings with nobody with a criminal record. Marion said, and the staff said, Mr. Mayor, Roach is too hot. He's in the paper too much, and he's causing us embarrassment. Marion said, if it wasn't for Roach, you jokers wouldn't have a job. Right. So that was my man, man.
So with that, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna take a break for a few, and then we're gonna come back.
I'll take a pork chop sandwich.
Yeah, we take a pork chop sandwich. We're gonna take a break. But this is Clarence Madison, the community show. We're here with Brother Roach Brown, and we'll be back with you in just a minute. Give us a minute. Thank you. Yeah, I want to thank Roach Brown for coming, sharing his experience with us. But I just want to, the last time we was together, so we was there in reference my mentor Tyrone Parker. Tyrone Parker, he had retirement, right? And you was there, and I never heard Roach Brown. I didn't know you was a comedian. I didn't know that you was a talk show host the way that you were. I didn't know that you knew how to bring a crowd together. You know, I think that you brought a lot of joy in his retirement party that night. We had great speakers, but to me, you was the best. I went back and told some people, I said, you know that Roach Brown, he crazy, I don't know what. He had us laughing, he had my stomach hurting, you know what I mean? Because you told some things that was realistic around a lot of great people, but what you did was you brought some joy in the house. So what is this thing about you with that Merry Christmas thing? That's what I'm really trying to understand. You started off with that Merry Christmas, but then you went on and kept it going. So what is it about that Merry Christmas? And people identify, if I go around and say, well, I told the president, Merry Christmas is going to be on my show. He said, well, I know who he is. What What is it about Merry Christmas?
Well, it's moving, as I said at the beginning of the show, I was serving life. Been in a while and been through some rough times in there, man. And the President of the United States gave me a pardon on Christmas Day. And when I got out, it just automatic to say every day to me is Christmas. Even when I'm broke, I'm mad, I'm angry, it's still Christmas. This man saved my life. And Christmas means a lot of things to a lot of people, but to me it always means being positive, being joyous, giving a gift. Christmas is the time of the year when people are people. That's the only time of year where everybody try to be nice or pretend to be nice, and they go out of their way to do this. So to me, Christmas is freedom, it's joy, it's happiness. So I get cursed out. A month don't go by, somebody don't cuss me out smooth, saying, this ain't no Christmas.
Right.
But to me it is.
Right.
And I don't care how dark it is, how snowy it gets.
Right.
Brother, when you're somebody saved your life, I was paralyzed, been in an insane asylum, a crazy house. Mother died, father died. The Supreme Court refused to hear my case. And I thought that when they say the Supreme Court, that's when you can get what's right, what you're entitled to. They play fair. Man, that ain't nothing but some more jiggy boogie. The same racism and discrimination we find all throughout society is just as heavy in the Supreme Court. They are the supreme necks, I call them. Supreme racists. You know what I mean? You can disagree with me. This is my point of view, how I'm seeing it from my experiences. So to me, every day with Christmas, the people cuss me out saying it ain't Christmas, what's wrong with you then? You stay in your lane, different strokes for different folks. And our friend who died, Rico, he says, the sun always shining.
That's what I was going to bring up next, yeah.
And Tyrone always said, ain't no air in there.
Ain't no air in there. And these are the major things that keeps me alive and keep me attracted and doing the work that I'm doing. It keeps me engaged with the people that I came across as a young adult. As I got into this working field here, working with the youth, was Tyrone Parker, Rico Rush, and also the brother Roach Brown. I want to tell you, Roach Brown, thank you for being on the show. I thank you for coming out, getting us some information. But most of all, I want to thank you for coming out to sharing yourself with us. You know, this is Clarence Miles in the community. Again, we're at the historical Langston dwelling. But guess what? The sun is always shining, and it's Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas, everybody.
And I want to tell you, thank you. I want to thank you. And I also want to give my man,
and my wife.
And you got your wife over there, your beautiful wife over there. I want to say hello to your wife, but not only you have your wife, you also got another young lady with a pair of
my granddaughter. Come over here, Kaya. Come here a minute, Kaya. Yeah, let her television.
She got a pair of pink cowboy boots on.
Come on, Kaya. Put you on television. Come on over here, little lady. Come on.
Look at her. Cowboy boots on. Look at her.
Come on.
Pretty pink, my favorite color. Yeah. There go Kaya.
That's our little grandbaby. Come on, you're on TV. You want to say something hi to everybody on television?
This way.
Tell them.
You ain't scared. All right now. Okay, we want to thank you. So this is the end of our show, and we'll be back next month with a brand new show.
Thank you.
Brand new idea. Brand new way. Thank you. This is Clarence Miles in the community.
Thank you
so much.
We appreciate it.